Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Mad Capper and this is another video on Watcher of Realms. I need to start off by thanking all of you for your support in the launch of this channel. It had gone as great as I had imagined. I do have a little more to ask, however. If you're watching this and you're not subscribed, please do me the honor and favor of subscribing, maybe hitting that notification, definitely hitting that like button. We are close to the first milestone, which is 500 subs, which is what we need to be monetized. I use everything I make from YouTube on both my channels goes back into YouTube. It may go towards gear. It may go directly into the game for buying packs, that sort of stuff. But it absolutely helps me. If I can get monetized, then I can show more stuff from you. I plan on building epics in this game that are kind of forgotten and passed over in most worlds. I think it'll be very helpful. I did it in Raid Shadow Legends. I plan to do it here. But that usually costs money. And I don't want to spend more money than I have or that I'm generating just to show you those epics. I will if I have to. I have in the past, but it would be nice if I can just generate that revenue from the channel and then put it back into these guides. Also, I want to warn you on the outset, I'm not free to play. I spend money in the game. I'm not a whale, but I do spend money in the game, mostly in summons. We are going to pull back, but I've bought a lot of stamina and stuff just so we can get some good level of progression so that I can start making some of these videos for you. With that said, today I want to go over Gear Raid 1. One of the major stopgaps was getting past Gear Raid 118, and I want to show you my team. Now, this is not a how-to. This is not a how to get around. It's just showing you my team. It's a showcase on what I used. And as long as you kind of understand the basic mechanics of the different champions in the game, you can probably sub in and out different champions that may work for you. I'll also mention some of the champions I use now that I wasn't using when I passed it. I'm going to use the team I originally used to pass Gear Raid 18. I'm going to take off the Power of Dominance so we can get a little bit more accurate look at it. That said, my gear is also, I think I passed Gear Raid 18 day 24. We're now on day 30, so 6 days ago. I've done a lot of mainly just gear farming, and I have improved the gear of my champions. I've also pulled a lot of champions this past weekend and the weekend before, where we didn't exactly pull all the champions that we're using. So just full disclaimer. That said, let's take a look at Gear Raid 1. Here's Gear Raid 1. Arguably, this is the most important Gear Raid in that it is the only place you get left side. There's two pieces, your chest and your weapon, and those are the only place. Whereas 2 and 3 both do right side, and obviously there's a lot more on the right side. We'll talk about this more when we go through 2 and 3. There's a lot more I call trash pieces, flat stat pieces. So you're selling more of what you gain in 2 and 3, but 1 is the only place you can get the left side, other than of course buying it in shop or random drops in different places. So it does make it very important. The reason why stage 18 is so important is because it's the first time you only get mythical drops. Mythical drops are the only or starting point where you can upgrade them to level 16. That's better stats, more stats, and just more things like attack and attack percentage and all that for you. So not only do you get from level 12 to 16 on the main stat, but you also get from 12. You also get a fourth slot of something that might help you min-max your gear. So stage 18 is probably the first most important place you want to get, and then it's going to be 19 because that's where you start getting these bullions and the mother spirits. That's very important for your gear progression. But right now we're just looking at dropping these legendaries and getting right into the bigger gear. So that's why here. Now, Gear Raid 1 is an AoE intensive battle. If we take a look at the guides, it's going to tell you, it's going to give you highly recommended champions. You see I have 2 of them, but they're not the only one. Actually, I have 3 of them. I forgot about Cerberus. So, you know, if you happen to be a whale and you have Demi or happen to have pulled Lasir, obviously Ajax, I can go through them all. You can see them here. So any of these champions will work. You see there's some recommended ones as well, but those aren't the only ones. And your best bet is you have to pay attention to what you have on your team. At the time, I only had 1 AoE mage I used, and that was Kamut, and I will show you that team now. So there's a lot of bot mobs. You have two defenses that you can use. Now, I turned off Power of Dominance, so we get a little bit more of a fair fight here. This is the original team I used. I just want to make sure that is the original team I used. So I was able to pass 18 once I got Kamut. I could not beat it before. Though I will say when I pulled Razak got me from 15 to 17. And I was like 5% away. I was so close to beating 18 without Kamut. So you can do it. It's just very difficult. Actually, no, this is not the team. I lied to you and I'm sorry. I didn't use Theowen. I used Cerberus. Cerberus was like my third legendary on my account. So this is the team we're going to use. I did bring a Lord in to boost my attack because I have 2 AoE attackers. Now, the AoE that you get is actually multi. It's not a true AoE. It's more of a multi-hit on Razak and Nyx, which is why the mages, which do they do more targets, typically they do a greater number of targets. So that's why they're generally a better champion. Plus the magic damage, there's lower resistances on this, but we're gonna try to circumvent some of that. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get my best damage dealer down. That's so I can get to his ultimate quicker. The quicker you can get to their ultimates, the better they're going to be. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put down Cerberus. The reason is I want to be able to time his ult so that he can make a nice big pool of the slimy goodness that he's going to. Now, I don't have Hollow. I didn't have Hollow at the time. I didn't have Dolores. These are champions that are absolutely going to help you. But I'm going to bring in Mari because Mari has that magic resistance decrease and physical resistance decrease. So that's very important. Now, I'm going to keep watching our boy here. Meanwhile, we're also going to put down another champion. We're going to hit his ult, and hopefully he dies well under his ult, which he did. That's going to put a nice big puddle there that's going to do a ton of magic damage. You just see it popping off. At this point, we don't need healers just yet. So now we're going to get down another magic user. So we have tons of AoE coming in, and you can just see the damage that Cerberus is doing there. He is so strong. If you don't have him, you don't have him. But man, if you do, what a win for you. Now we're going to put down our healers. Really doesn't matter for me which side I put. Both my healers are going to be able to keep up. We want to get these guys in. I'm going on slow-mo on purpose just so you guys can see what's going on. But I want to get both my healers in, and then we'll be able to put our last 2. Now, you do notice I am bringing in Silas. At the time, it was the best choice I had. Now that we've got in, we're going to pop all these ults on these big daddies. And we're going to put down our Nyx next. We'll wait for Nyx. See just the level of pure carnage you create there. Now we've got these little poison, what are they called? Poison healthy? I don't know what are the bugs called? They do poison damage and they splash damage. So that's why you need the healers. So at this point, when these guys come in, this is one of the major reasons. These guys here have very high physical resistance, these the shield guys. Now, the reason why Silas is still workable in this is when he uses his ult, he actually deals a different damage type so that you can actually use him in here. Even though he's not the best option, he is definitely an option. So we're going to pop him in here. I actually popped him in too late. That's my fault, but we're going to use his ult, and then we're going to pull him from the field because we want to get Cerberus back. You saw the damage that Cerberus can do. He's just better. So now at this point, because I'm not timing any ults with any sort of damage boost, we're just going to use all our ults here and just try to get as much damage as possible. And then we're going to, okay, close enough. We're going to pull this back. We're going to put Cerberus back down. He's going to do a nice AoE swing, and as soon as he dies, we can't put Silas back. Normally I hold Silas until after. Back then, it's been so long. Don't be afraid to use Mari's ult here to freeze people. That's going to give you time. Time and space is your friend. You might as well use it so that you can hold back, and that's going to save your tower, save your wall. The other thing to talk about here, if you have Hollow, make sure you pop your ults and then pop her ult right after. The second you start losing, your ult starts being used, you can start regenerating your rage. So don't be afraid. You don't have to wait till the last second to do that. And because I'm not doing timings, if you have Dolores, obviously you stack Dolores on whatever side's going to do the most for you. Stack your damage dealers and put Dolores so that she's touching as many of them as possible. The other thing you can do if you don't have enough damage dealers is you can put high nuking ground champions. I know there's a couple that do multi-hit damage. Put them behind the first wall, and they can actually help do damage. Even if it's single target, it's okay. It's better than no target at all. We can actually pull her and put her back if we wanted, or put him back if we wanted. But here we go. Easy done. When I originally beat this, I actually, they made it to the second wall. If you aren't beating them by the second wall, move those 3. You notice how I have like the triangle here of champions? Move those champions back 1 square each. So I would actually probably leave Mari where she is, but I would move all the rest of my champions in the middle so that if that first wall crashes, you have them hitting on that second back tile. And that's for me. I would especially make that for Kamut and Razak, but make sure that you're hitting that back tile as well, as so you can brace it. And what you can do is you can put your healers at the front facing the other way. That way, because your healers it doesn't matter where they are, it just matters on what their coverage is. So that's an easy way through it. Other than that, that's it. There's plenty of champions that you can use. I'll go through and kind of talk about the champions I use in my current iteration, which obviously is a little bit better here. And I'll show you some of the champions that you may want to watch out for and gear up for this sort of thing. Obviously, AoE damage dealer is one. We already talked about those. So Kamut, obviously, Razak if you need to. AoE piercers also very good. Nyx another one. Cerberus really strong. Cerberus's tiny brother also would theoretically, though I haven't tried him in this, he would theoretically also work because you can he's got very low cooldowns and you can get him back onto the field. How well it works, never tried it. But this ground effect area with 70% AoE damage per second for 10 seconds, that would definitely help. And he's got an ultimate which activates Halo of Sacrifice, reduces HP 1 per second, but deals 70% AoE damage per second to enemies around. So I'm guessing that would do something, right? For a champion that's easy. You put him down, he's lower cost, he dies, and then you wait for his cooldown to come back, and it's not that bad. But you can see one of his things is that he actually has the revival time by 6 seconds and damage by 5, stacking up to 5. So it actually doesn't hurt to have him back and forth. So just keep that in mind as kind of a generic Cerberus. That might be a little bit niche, but if you can, absolutely. As I mentioned, Hollow, very big. Make sure you're timing her ultimate regeneration for when your champions have already used their ultimates, but you can use it the second they've used their ultimates, okay? Maul, huge, especially in A5 Maul. The reason why his awakenings are so important is because at Awakening 1, he gets the freeze as well as the knockback, which is going to help give you some time, right? The time they can't hit the target is the best time. And then Awakening 3 inflicts slow. Again, the slower they are, the slower it takes to get there. And 5 gives you that cost -5. He's such a high cost that -5 is absolutely great. So that Awakening 1's probably the most important, but the more Awakenings, the better. He does great AoE damage. He's going to be very helpful for this, as well as Gear Raid 3. He's actually a mainstay. Hollow. We also talked about, sorry, I always want to call her Hollow. Dolores, who amps your, she gives you, what is it called? Perseverance? I don't know. What is she? Inspiration, which is an increased attack. So that's going to give you just more damage. Make sure that she's surrounded, or that her tile dispersion hits as many of your hardest hitting nukes. So if you've got Comet, make sure that Comet, and in my case Comet and Razak, are getting that boost, and probably obviously Vierna as well. For ground, any ground target, I don't have any nukers that do AoE, but single target high burst damage, Vladov is an example for epics. Certainly Valeria and Falcia are for legendaries, because if you can get them very high swing speed, even though they're only hitting one champion or one enemy at a time, they're hitting through that wall. So that's going to be very helpful if you have no other options. This probably isn't going to get you through 118, but it might get you through 114, 15, 16, those sort of things to get through there. Obviously, Aeona, AoE mage, very strong. Single target, probably not as much, but if you have nothing else. Constance, who I haven't tried, she does give inspiration, so you can kind of get her around. If you have a multi-target ground unit behind the wall, she's going to help inspiration there as well, so some opportunities there. As for that, just anything else that does AoE is going to be helpful. Greed, he does a magic resist. I believe it's magic reduction, right? Yeah, magic resistance reduction. So if you're not getting quite enough damage out of your nukers, there's someone for you. And then there's what we call the Laurel alt, or the Laurel strat, the cheese strat. You can place her and remove her from the field of battle, and she's automatically going to boost everyone in her sphere of influence by 50% rage. That means you're going to get back to your ults quicker. So you put her in the middle. Say you've got Vierna, you've got someone like Hamut, and you've got someone like Razak, but you don't have the gear to be doing that huge burst damage. But you have Hollow, you have Laurel, you rinse, repeat. You pop all their alts, you pop her down, back, they get 50%, they're quick, they're back quicker, and then you can just do that again. So you're getting more of that high damage, high burst damage. For healers, you need one on each side, typically. So just keep that in mind. Any healer will do. I think actually I did do most of my fighting with Maiden. At the very end, I pulled Aelin, and I really like her because she's a continuous AoE, not a single target. She does really good work for me other than, so I do like using her. But overall, those are the champions. I'm sure there's others. Why don't you let me know in the comments down below what other champions you feel could get people through 118 and maybe start looking towards 119. I'm sure there's many of you who are smarter than I at this game. Let me know in the comments down below. Also, next week, I'm going to go through all the gear raids with 18, and then I'm going to start looking at all epic teams. So we're going to start shuffling some gear and start making some other things. So I'm really excited that the feature on that will probably be AI. I think that she's kind of a crazy niche one, but I love using her. She's so much fun. So I'm looking forward to trying to use her to get past 18. So we'll see if that'll work. Stay tuned. That'll probably be in about 7 to 10 days time. But that's all I have for you today. We might as well call this a video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it gave you some insights, at least. Maybe for those of you who are coming over from Raid, haven't watched a lot of content creators, that might have helped you. Once again, thank you all for your support on the start of this channel. I hope I keep bringing content that you want to watch. Let me know in the comments down below. I know I've already heard what should you concentrate on in the first couple weeks. I'll give you my thoughts on that on this channel, as well as, of course, gear raids and artifact raid and all the rest. And then we're going to start talking about 19, and hopefully I'll be able to record my first push into 19 when I have the gear that I feel is sufficient to be able to push through those 19s. I have the champions. Now it's just a matter of building out my champions to make it work. So thank you for watching. I appreciate you. I am Mad Camper. That's it for the day. Please, as always, be kind, be safe, and we'll see you in the next video.